Hi, I'm Eric Poulin.
And I'm Robin Poulin.
We're the co-founders of Calendar Budget, and welcome to the Calendar Budget podcast.
I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like. I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like.
Deal or no deal?
Deal, please.
Okay, good. Today we're going to talk about whether you should replace something. You've had it for a while. Is there life left in this thing? Should we wear it out? Should we replace it by fixing it ourselves or doing it ourselves? Or actually go out and buy the thing?
Good question. I find we live in a disposable society that some of the skills to be able to replace things, fix it up or whatever, or refurbish it, it comes and goes. You have some people that are really into it, grab stuff on the side of the road and love to fix things up and make it new and different. And you have other people that have no clue whatsoever, just use it up.
I don't understand those people. Who has time to go and fix maybe retired people? I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say people
fun.
are disposable.
Definitely not. No, thank you.
Oh my.
Collect people. People are friends. We had fun with the kids when they were small. Anything that was broken, like old technology, go ahead, here it is, take it apart, see what you can do with it.
Well, not for the purposes of repairing it.
No,
But for the
learning
purposes
skills.
It was more like, how much fun can I have smashing this thing with a hammer?
Yeah. Or taking the screws apart and stuff.
Learning. Like we'd take electronics apart and show them how it worked and let them know that it's not just a magic black box, that there's
pieces inside
it
that
works in some way.
To investigate and see if you can fix.
Anyway, so let's get on topic. We want to basically talk here about whether we should do it ourselves, wear it out, or buy it and replace it. So we see a lot of these things, or I should say, this discussion comes up often when you talk about cooking. Mm-hmm. Not that you're going to wear it out in the same way you would clothes or a car or something, but how often do you get clothes that maybe over years no longer fit you because you got fat or because you got thin, or just you got muscular, or what, bodies change.
Or like your children, they grew.
Of course.
Over 6 months, one of our kids grew like a whole 1 foot. It was crazy. Couldn't keep her in clothes.
1 foot in a month?
No, over 6 months.
Oh, 6 months.
Yeah.
Say.
About half a year.
That's illegal.
Now she's the tallest of them all.
Yes. So those kind of things are different. But for cooking, you're not going to like wear out food. But in a microcosm of that, like if you just zoom really close into like a week-long period, okay, are you going to throw out this lettuce because the edges are wilting a little bit? Or are you just going to rip the edges off and use the part that's still good? Like a lot of people will just throw the whole thing out, and that's usable food that's just being wasted.
Yep. I've even seen people take their lettuce, cut it up all the way down to that last little chunk.
The middle thing?
Yeah. And then plant it again, and they have a whole new lettuce without having to buy one.
Well, kudos to those people.
Exactly.
I wish I had that much patience.
Your dad's done that, I've seen.
You can just plant the center, like the crunchy center stalk.
Yeah, like cut down to the last couple of inches. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 inches. Yeah. And then put it on something wet, floating in some water, and roots start to grow, and then you plant it. But I think Grandma and Grandpa, or your mom and dad, have actually just planted it in the garden, and it's taken root.
Yeah, so gardens maybe will be a topic for another podcast, but that's also a fabulous thing. That's total.
That's beyond what we're talking about today.
Total DIY, do it yourself, right?
Yeah.
For the purposes of cooking, though, yes, sometimes you're gonna throw food out when it gets bad, and to whatever possibility you can try to use food that is still partially good, but of course you never want to err on the side that you're going to get sick. You want to err on the side of maybe it's best to throw this out. Of course, we often have these best before arguments on food.
Best before.
Yeah. What
not
is
expired.
What does best before refer to?
It's freshness.
Yeah.
It's still usable, maybe slightly wilted or whatever it is.
According to the marketing department.
Yes.
I'm not sure if best before is actually regulated by a health agency of the government, or if it's more like our marketing department recommends.
I think the FDA, I think it's called.
FDA in the US and Health Canada in Canada.
Yeah. I think it has some to do with it, but not sure if it's involved completely.
Yeah, I think what you got to keep in mind is what you said at the beginning is it's best before. It's not like expired. There's no expiry. It's probably best before this date. Doesn't mean it's unusable after. Some exceptions to that, medication probably.
Definitely.
Medication does expire and you should throw it out. Medication will actually spoil in a container even if it's sealed, it will just go bad.
Yep.
So you got to get rid of that
and
stuff.
you don't want to play with your health. Don't take that risk.
Right. Don't take it trying to solve a medical problem if it's expired. And don't take it because if it's spoiled, it could be harmful to you rather than helping you. So
Exactly.
yeah, bad stuff.
There's something to do with the food, though. I think if you use a good meal plan, you could avoid a lot of that food waste and not have to throw things out.
Well, for sure.
Or when you get down to it, if you can do one of those clean out the fridge soups or clean out the fridge salads, depending on things can be heated or not heated.
Yeah, actually, those are some of our favorite meals. They're usually
exactly.
delicious.
Yeah.
There's some great apps out there too. So shout out to Plan to Eat, who
We like
makes
that one.
a fantastic meal planning app. You can put a whole bunch of your favorite meals as like bookmarks, and you can easily bookmark them while you're browsing things.
And we share the app between our phones, so it's updated between the two of us
Exactly.
immediately.
You can share, you can have multiple accounts in the same like membership profile, and you can just say, okay, I want this meal to be breakfast, I want this meal to be dinner, I want this meal to be lunch, and you can plan your meals out. And if it's associated to a recipe, a known recipe, it'll even generate a grocery list for you for what you need for the coming week. Like that's fantastic.
Yep.
And it's actually pretty inexpensive too. So there you go, Plan to Eat.
I find around here, though, sometimes we have some great meal plan ideas, but then we get sick of things quickly, or we get too busy that we don't have time to cook it, like scrambling at the last minute. Better cook this up before it goes bad.
Yeah.
Even if I freeze it again, it's still, at least it's cooked and I can put it away than to be frozen and used another time. If the family will accept a frozen dinner.
If they will. Yeah, that's the big if there. But that's a great way to save not only food that's about to go bad, if you can like just take the time to cook it and then freeze it so that it's ready to eat at some other time and it won't spoil. Less likely to spoil in the freezer. It will still spoil in the freezer over long periods, but we're talking now months and months as opposed to days in the fridge.
I remember with working with my mom and my dad when we were teenagers, that we would make homemade freezer meals for my grandpa because he had been in the war, so he could get around less, and he needed some help for meal prep. And we used to make these freezer meals every 1 or 2 weeks, like meat and potatoes and gravy and vegetables. And he loved it, and it worked great. Those froze well because the gravy helped to maintain some of that freshness.
Oh yeah,
and
if you're a meat and potatoes and gravy
if you like that
person,
yeah,
those things freeze. And I don't know, my opinion, they don't taste any different fresh or if they came out of the freezer from 6 months. They're the same,
yeah.
pretty much the same.
Especially if there's some sort of sauce, even if it's like a pasta that you make a little less al dente, like not cooked as much, so that when you heat it up, it's not going to mush.
Yeah,
So
that's a good pro tip.
yeah,
Nice. Okay. So those things work for things that are going bad in the fridge. But there's also the idea of like just sometimes you're going to resort to eating out because you're just feeling too busy, or maybe you don't want to take the time to go to the grocery store or just take the time to cook. So there's those levels of like do it yourself in terms of cooking the ingredients. Like we've mentioned before, our kids will look at a freezer full of food, fridge full of food, and they'll be like, we don't have any food, all we have is ingredients.
and they know how to cook. They make fantastic food too.
I know.
gourmet meals. But
I mean, I'm guilty of doing that often too. So, I mean, I get it.
yeah, we all have our busy periods where we've had great ambitions, but then things happen and we just have no energy left to cook.
Yeah. The next level of that kind of thing, though, is so between going out to dinner and making it yourself, there's some levels in between that are less common, less known about. So you can order meal kits that just have the ingredients, like the unprepared ingredients, shipped to you
Yeah.
with a recipe card, and you get just enough ingredients to make this thing.
We've used a few
Yeah.
of the different ones, and I find they've been helpful, especially with our youngest daughter, teaching her how to cook, that she wanted to be independent about that, and she already knew a good set of cooking skills, but those helped her to learn some gourmet cooking skills, and she absolutely loved the independence of being able to make these awesome meals for us.
Yeah, in fact, those meals are so good that she got really good at them. Now she'll invite people over and prepare that meal with these other people to kind of show off her cooking skills and end up with a great meal in the end.
Yeah.
So those are good. They're good because you pick the recipes that you want, you pick the meals that you're interested in. You only get what you need for the meal, and it comes just in time. So like you'll get a shipment on like a Wednesday, or I forget what day it was, but you'll get like a shipment on a Wednesday, and the meals in there, and you pick how many meals you're going to order as well. But there's just enough to use before it starts to spoil.
Yes.
And so you use that up, and then the next shipment comes, if that's how you've got it set up. Now, those they're obviously more expensive than doing groceries.
The produce tends to be fresher most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time it is fresher than, say, going to the local Walmart.
I have found that it is. Like, they ship it to you pretty much the same as what you'd be getting from Walmart.
Yeah.
Or from whatever grocery store. And they are in good condition, like the food is good.
And depending on the kit that you get it from, the company you get it from, I think they actually use local farmers
Yeah, they do.
for some of them, maybe all of them, I don't know.
Yeah. There's lots of these places out there, so just Google, pre-prepared meal kits, and you'll find a slew of them. They vary from area to area, so what we have here in Ontario, Canada, might be different than what's available in Florida.
Yeah.
But we've ordered from like 3 different ones. So part of what we did was we would order one, because they always come with a promo, right? You get a massive discount on the first 2 orders, and then you go to the regular price. So we'll order the first 2, and then switch to the second one and get their awesome promo, and switch to the third one, get their awesome promo. And by then, the first one is emailing you back saying, hey, we noticed you haven't reordered. Would you be interested in this promo? And so you could just cycle through the promos to get some pretty good deals. They're still making money.
Yes.
Maybe not a lot if you're only using their promos, but the food is quite good, and the delivery is timely. Like all thumbs up for me on those.
Yeah. And it was great, though, to be able to have those different companies to order from, so you can see which one catered more to our liking or had fresher produce or better meal kits available.
I found they're all about the same in terms of quality. They have different recipes, different menu items, and they'll have kosher meals. They'll have like celiac meals and like no this or that. They have low fat, high protein.
Yeah.
So whatever you're looking for, they have an option. They've already thought this through.
We've continued to use the recipe cards as well, even after not ordering them for a little while, that we make our own version of it. Some things for the recipe, we've had to look up quantity to be able to reduplicate their special spice for something, or how much, beans to put in kind of thing, where it doesn't give an exact quantity, but you can tell if you've gotten used to cooking some, you can kind of judge how much of something should go in.
I mean, if you're really careful, you can just take some notes as you're preparing the meal for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the recipe card. And if it just says cut up the peppers and it ships you with just what you need, just write in beside the card, well, there's 2 peppers here, 2 green peppers. And then if you want to make it again, you can, if you want to, you could travel to the grocery store and just buy the ingredients for this recipe card.
Exactly.
But it's a good way to figure out a bunch of things that you like.
I've learned some tips myself as well for making these new sauces that they tend to put with the, like mixing mayonnaise with some sriracha and a little bit of spice or something like that. I'm like, okay, I wouldn't have thought of using mayonnaise, but this is cool and it actually tastes pretty good. Or putting a bit of lime in there makes it a little bit more Mexican-like.
Are these from those things, or
Yeah.
like because you've been learning from some Korean or Chinese TV shows that you're
Yes.
watching too?
Those are, I've learned to cut things up small to make it look more elegant
Yeah.
and make it look more like a gourmet
It's ready
meal.
for the Imperial Palace.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
But the sauces, I learned that trick from these meal kits that we ordered.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So the next level off of that, so you've got totally do it yourself. You've got these prepared ingredients that come. There's another level up from that, which is they're pre-cooked meals that come to you, and all you have to do is heat them up.
Yes.
So there are similar companies. They might even be the same companies that do this, but you can. And I've seen this a lot with like bodybuilders use this because they need super high protein meals and they have to eat 5 times a day, and
Wow.
they don't have time to prepare like chicken all day long. You know how that is with protein people.
Yeah.
But if you're busy and just if you have the cash to support this kind of a lifestyle, you can get these totally pre-prepared meals, and they're measured so that the caloric content is all preset. So if you're on a diet of any kind, and again, they have all the, the gluten-free, and they have every option that you could ever imagine. They're nice because they come totally done, and all you have to do is literally just heat them up. Sometimes you don't even have to heat it up if it's like a salad or something.
Yeah. We haven't tried those, but
No, because those
we
are
haven't needed to.
They also go in this progression. The cost progresses
Of
as you
course.
go towards this as well, right? So I would say after that, the next level is going to be like ordering in food. So this would be takeout
Yep.
from your local Chinese food restaurant or Uber Eats, and then up from that is finally you're going to eat out at a sit-down restaurant.
Yeah. Well, Uber Eats is something that's come new in the last, 5 years or so?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, which has totally changed the ordering out venues, where before you couldn't exactly order McDonald's to come in, I don't think.
No, that is pretty new. Like before, it was
Yeah.
like it was pizza
Yeah.
and Chinese food. Those are the traditional delivery things. Maybe downtown New York City, they had more delivery options, but in a normal, like urban, rural city, town, Uber Eats kind of opened the doors to basically every restaurant
Yeah.
can deliver now.
And even convenience stores.
Yeah,
For some snacks.
That's right. If you need your fix of jujubes or chocolate bars.
Chips, don't forget chips.
Yeah, of course. So I would say those are the progressions for food. If you're looking for deals, you got to do it yourself. But then there's these, you got to balance your time, your budget, and how much money and where do you want to go with this. But you can go along that spectrum of food. Now there's other spectrums for do-it-yourself versus hiring somebody. Well, we didn't do the ultimate level, which is hiring a chef to come in and prepare your meals in-house for you.
That's my dream. One of these days, I would love to hire a chef for maybe a month to make food that is healthy for us, that gives us energy, is best for our health limits for each of us, whether it's us or kids, whoever's at home at that time, and be able to plan ahead, watch what they do, so that I can learn how to cook it, because I love cooking too. But yeah,
You already know how to cook.
I know.
I think you're mostly interested in variety and nutrition.
Exactly.
And blah, blah, blah.
Because we tend to get sick of things very quickly. The easiest one to please for feeding our family is probably Thea, one
Or
of the
me.
twins.
Make me a burger and I'm a happy man.
Exactly. But variety. We like some variety.
Yeah, I know. I can't have a burger every day.
Yeah.
No, you'd get sick of it. And you'd get super overweight.
I learned how to make a gourmet looking burger though, with no bun.
That's true.
That looked pretty awesome. With
It was.
peppers cut up on top. Looks gourmet.
If I remember while I'm editing this, I'll flash it up on the screen because we took a picture. It was so good. Some other things you can do along the spectrum of do-it-yourself versus hiring somebody. It pretty much applies to everything, but some common things would be like car maintenance.
Yeah.
Most people don't do car maintenance themselves. They always take it to an auto shop for work, but there's some simple things that you can do yourself, like the regular maintenance part,
Yeah.
and then save some money, like changing the oil.
I remember discussing this when we first got married. You were talking about that. Well,
Yep.
I can do the oil change myself because I do know how to do it. But also, I'm working at, say, IBM, and I make so much an hour. How much does it cost for an oil change?
Yeah, that's basically what it came down to. Because I don't specialize in auto repair, it will take me much longer than it would take an auto shop to do it. So it might take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to do an oil change, on top of going to the hardware store to get the filter and the oil replacement pieces.
Yep.
And then you're going to get nasty and gross.
Yep.
And if you can squeeze under the car, that's great. Otherwise, you have to have ramps to do it. So all of that considered together, how much does it cost for the actual parts? How much is my time worth? Because I could work another hour at my job if that's an option. So I look at those things and figure out, okay, if I worked another hour, if I bought all these things and used up this time versus taking it to the shop, what's the trade-off?
Something else to consider with that, though, is when you bring the vehicle in for an oil change, they might typically not do just the oil change. They'll be making sure that the rest of the vehicle is good repair as a quick check over.
They'll typically do whatever their 20-point check is. They'll
Yeah.
top up your fluids and they give a little TLC to the car, which
They're
is nice.
happy to notice something that will add to their bottom line as well.
Well, it's pretty rare that
Yeah.
you'd go for an oil change and come in and they're like, we just did the oil change, everything else is perfect. No, never is this the case.
I have had that, actually. There's 2 different companies that we used to go to because we had 2 different vehicles, a Toyota and a Kia.
Yeah.
I found one company was very helpful, very attentive, and always suggested these are typical things that would happen at 1,000 kilometers, 10,000 kilometers, whatever the mileage was. And so we looked at your vehicle, it's doing fine for it, or yeah, it's going to need this soon. And then I'll ask them which ones are desperate, which ones I probably need to do but
Yeah.
could get away, and which ones I could delay until and not do any damage to the vehicle.
Until the need arises.
Yeah.
Because again, it's wear it out or replace it. Why would you replace it before its lifetime use has been used? You're just basically throwing away money in terms of those extra weeks or months of use.
Yes. And that company then would make space for being able to do things like that in their time scheduling. But I think the other company didn't make time schedule. Like our Toyota was new to us and new to dealing with them. We had dealt with Kia for a while.
Yeah.
And-
if you needed work, you'd have to make a second appointment
Yeah.
to get it done.
I had a tire change done, but I understood it was that time of year where they barely had time to squeeze things in.
Everybody was changing their tires.
Yeah, exactly.
So in Canada, we have to change our tires because
Winter season.
in the winter you have to have winter tires. Otherwise, your normal summer tires are like all seasons, quote unquote. They will not do the trick, and you'll be sliding all over the highway.
Yeah.
You really need.
need that traction.
It's pretty much a need in Canada.
Yeah.
No matter where you are in Canada, when winter comes, you need those good tires.
Yeah.
Other thing along that line of DIY, do it yourself, versus hiring somebody to do it is house repairs. So, yeah, back to cars. There are other things other than oil change, like just simple things like changing your headlights and changing your wiper blades and little fixes here and there. Do it yourself versus getting somebody to pay or paying somebody to do it. Again, evaluate the time. If it's a simple thing, I would just do it myself. That's my preference, is to do it myself.
Yeah. I find that
Except for oil. I don't like getting gross. Come on.
getting your hands dirty, come on.
No. No dirty. I'm a computer guy. I like clean hands.
Well, the things that they have done to vehicles these days, though, I find the engine is a lot more compact. It's harder to get in at things. So,
Oh, well, I'm not going into the engine.
I know.
Like,
but even trying to change the headlights, yeah, even some of that has become more complicated.
yeah.
It's still able to do it, but
If you have like halogen lights, you have to be careful because
Yeah.
you can, if you touch it, you can wreck a $150 part
Yeah.
just by touching it the wrong way. So yeah, there are some places, and sometimes you want to be careful, but
But if it takes the first time that you mess it up, you realize what you do wrong, and then from then on, do this right, and you save yourself money in the long run.
Unless you do it wrong the first time and you're like, I'm never doing that again, and then you, rather than moving forward, you retract.
Yeah.
I would prefer to move forward
Learn from your mistake.
in some cases.
Yes.
So not on my list, but taxes is one of those things. We used to do our own taxes. I used to do our taxes for us. Mm-hmm. Just got way too complicated. Mm-hmm. And then we're like, I'm not doing this anymore. Even though there's software out there that like does most of the work for you and figures out the loopholes. The first time we brought it to an actual tax person,
Yeah.
she retroactively found thousands of dollars that we
Yeah.
didn't claim, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm never doing this again.
Thank you very much.
It's totally worth paying somebody $30-$50
Yeah.
when they can get you back money, like way more money than you would ever spend on like software and the
time spent.
and the time and your
Exhaustion.
like after I hit the submit button, I'm never sure if I did it right. It's the same as actually paying my taxes. If I don't go into the bank and do it and do it online, I'm like, did it go to the right account? I hope,
I know.
I hope everything went right.
Yeah. There's things that the tax accountant person understands that we don't, because that's what they spend their time on, their education on.
Specialists, experts.
Exactly. They know what the new things are, what the old things are gone now. Yeah.
Yeah. House repairs, same type of idea.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a home owner, then you're responsible for doing maintenance on the house, all the maintenance on the house. That we're not just talking like mowing the lawn, we're talking everything.
Yeah.
Change the filter of the furnace, repair little broken things here and there, changing the lights. Like if there's a problem, you got to fix it. Unless it's something that's like plumbing or electrical, then and you have to hire a professional because there's like licenses involved.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're doing it yourself. Well, you should be doing it yourself, meaning you're responsible for doing it yourself. So do you take the time to learn the skill to do that? Do you buy the tools involved and the parts? Or do you just phone somebody and get them to do it?
Yeah.
So we've again here kind of tread that line between, do I have the time to do it? Do I have the tools? Do I have the know-how? I was fortunate that as I was growing up, my dad spent a long time teaching me how to do simple construction and how to do simple maintenance of things. When there was a project that needed to be done, woodworking or a repair job of some kind, I was like the hander-outer of tools. So I observed how to do these things, and he would like show me. So that was very valuable. Not only was it a good bonding time with a parent, but it's like a valuable skill that's been passed down.
Yeah.
So now I have the option when a repair need comes up, I can do it myself because the skill is there. But now I'm trying to decide, okay, do I have the time to do this? Is it beyond my level of skill such that am I going to repair it in a quality enough way that it will last a long time? Will it look good when it's done? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to hire a pro and spend a lot of money? Because as we all know, housing contractors, like general handyman, plumber, electrical, carpenter, not cheap.
Yes.
Not cheap at all.
There is something to say about learning that skill of taking the chance. I remember when we decided to fix up our first house, getting ready to sell it, that Grandpa, your dad came over and helped to paint the house, and we got to work along with him.
Yep.
And I hadn't really done too much of that before, so I got to work alongside him. I was nervous about it. I'm like, I'm gonna get paint on the ceiling. But then I realized that like he was expert at cutting in, so it was perfect.
Yeah.
And so I'm, okay, I can do this. This is all right. There's something that comes from that, though. You get a little bit more confidence to be able to take, not a risk, but be able to jump in and say, okay, I can do other things too. Although, like you're saying, there is the time to have the expert. You need to know that safety is being taken care of. Like electrical, that is not something that you should be stepping in to do.
Don't mess with that. Like unless it's something simple, like changing a light fixture. Okay, you can do that as long as you're careful and you know what to do, like turn the main off at the circuit breaker and don't
Yeah.
kill yourself.
Most people I find probably don't know those basics, but I've been lucky enough that my dad was an electrician and your dad was skilled in those things enough as well that it taught you. So, yeah,
I mean, my dad was a draftsman.
yeah,
He didn't work in any of these fields. That's just general house maintenance stuff that you probably should know a little bit about how your house works. If you're going to own the thing, you should be able to maintain it,
Yeah.
to some degree. But yeah, you don't have to become an expert. And when it comes to a point where it's dangerous,
yeah,
hire somebody. And if you're not sure, like you can YouTube all of this stuff, like how to repair this and that.
and hire an inspector afterwards to make sure the work's done right.
Yeah. I don't know if that's
Here and there.
I don't know if that's such a good idea. You hire an inspector and they're going to point out this and that and this and that, and suddenly you're like, but it's working.
But if it's safety, it's worth it.
Oh, sure, if it's safety, but an inspector is going to point out bylaws and
Which you should have looked for that in the first place before you even
Sometimes-
started the project.
yeah, depending on the work you're doing on a house, sometimes, like if it's a structural change to the house, if you're finishing a basement or
Yeah.
if you're like putting a window in, that's like, you need a building permit. You can't just do that.
Exactly.
Skilled as you are, there's legalities at play here, and you can't just put a new window in where there wasn't one, because you got to put a hole in the side of your house, and there's like structural. The house could come crumbling down. This
Yep.
is not London's bridge we're building here. It's got to be. You got to have it permitted.
Or
and
even
inspected.
turning a single dwelling house into 2 apartments. You need to understand what the local bylaws are and make sure you're within those ranges.
Yes, that can be a nightmare as well, because almost always, no matter how much work you do, they're going to find something that you did wrong. And sometimes it can be very costly having to undo some work in order to do it right.
Yep.
Yeah, not comfortable. I'm personally not comfortable with that kind of work and would want to get that subbed out to a pro. But little maintenance things, like you can do this. You can do this. Just look at some videos on YouTube. It's all very spelled out, pretty clear there.
Yep.
There's an old pioneer saying that we are familiar with that goes along this line, which is
Fix it up, wear it out, make it do or do without.
exactly. So that kind of comes in effect and applies directly to things like clothing, which I think is where that probably came from.
Yes.
Like mending your clothing, darning your socks. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. It was like, darn it, socks.
My grandma used to do that. She would make these homemade knitted socks, and newfie joke that came from real life was, how do you get the rock out of your sock? Cut a hole in it, because the wife can always repair it, by the way. My grandfather did that. He knew that his wife, my grandma, could repair the holes. It's like, I cannot get the sock out. He had spent some time trying, but it's like, forget it.
Problems of knitting. Yeah. Who was going to wear knitted socks, honestly?
They were awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
They
I
were
guess if
comfortable.
they're done right. But yeah, repairing clothes, if you have a little bit of skill there, and that again is a big spectrum, right? There's
Yes.
like needle and thread and doing it by hand, just fixing a little hole.
Yep.
And then there's sewing machine level stuff. And then it gets on from there with sergers and
Yeah.
whatever the insane tools are. Like my mom she bought a sewing machine. We called it the Porsche because
Yes.
it cost like $30,000 or something.
But
Did
it could do a
everything.
lot. Yeah.
Did embroidery, serging, it did all that
Well,
stuff.
she had a separate serger.
I think maybe she got them as a kid. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember we called this thing the Porsche.
Yeah.
Because it was so expensive.
But it does fantastic work. She would make quilts, and when the kids were small, she would make some homemade outfits for them. And we knew that they were homemade because they looked better than store-bought, and they lasted longer, lasted better.
Plus they had the tag in the back, made with love.
By Grandma.
By Grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She also taught the oldest and myself how to resize things. Maybe you'll buy some pants from the store where you don't like how they do this little bell-bottom flood thing at the bottom. Kids hated that. So turn the pants inside out, sew it up to be tighter the way you like. Put some pins in first, of course.
Sure.
Or even with the shirt.
You can make it tighter, but not the other way, right?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And with shirts, she's done that as well, where they kind of look frumpy or baggy and you want them to be more flattering. Turn it inside out, sew it up. Making sure before you do any cutting that it's a good fit.
Yeah.
And then she would just cut off the excess material and use the serger to seal that edge.
So that's the thing with clothes, when they get damaged, usually it's like a little hole that can be sewn together or patched.
If you catch it early enough.
Yes. Obviously, there's some times when it's just done.
Yeah.
But you can fix it, which can give it another like many months, maybe even year or more of life before you have to replace the thing. And imagine if you had to replace your entire wardrobe all at once.
Yeah.
It'd be thousands of dollars. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So that repair can really lengthen the lifespan of something. So that's where the wear it out comes into play. But the same idea applies to like a car.
Yeah. With the clothing still though, if you buy it right the first time, it should last long. Depending on the material you get and the quality of how it was made or how thin it is. I remember getting some clothes from a certain store that over time as you wash it got thinner and thinner and thinner that you could actually see your woman's underclothes through with no guessing. I'm like, okay, kid, you got to stop wearing that one.
Yeah, that's not good.
And also, there's things that we've bought that, like pants, they kind of, as you're walking along, your legs swish against each other sometimes. So that area starts to wear out. So it would rip easily if you happen to sit down the wrong way. You get that embarrassing moment with split in pants.
Not to mention the buildup of static electricity if it's that kind of material.
But if you buy right with the proper material in the first place, it should last longer and be able to make easier repairs as well.
Yeah, so even with that concept though, there is a balance to strike, right? Because, let's take a ridiculous example. You go to, what's a really expensive fashion brand? Like Prada?
Our kids love Lululemon.
Okay, so I'm thinking even worse than that, like Prada. This is like, what do they sell? Purses and
Yes, I heard about this one store.
I don't know, but high fashion, right? Probably the top of the line stuff. Great material, great quality, but ridiculously expensive. Just crazy. You could spend over $1,000 on a purse easily.
Yep.
Right. So, how high quality is it? Is it so high quality that even if it lasted a lifetime, it's not worth that much money?
$1,000 for a purse, I couldn't imagine spending that. But they lure you in. They build this amazing purse that's worth $10,000 by their judgment.
And now it's on sale.
On sale, or you go in there because you have to see this $10,000 purse. Well, I can't get the $10,000 purse, but maybe I can get the $1,000 purse. That's a lot cheaper. Or even a keychain from them, or some little clutch that's now like $500. Meanwhile, a $50 purse really actually could do the job, but you're paying for the brand, that little name tag on it.
What is a clutch?
Clutch is a little mini purse that you would put with your nice pretty dress, your fancy dress.
Okay. You're just clutching onto it?
Exactly. That's why, I imagine that's why it's called a clutch.
Maybe it should just be called a grab.
Grab bag.
Maybe it's not as cool.
That's your doggy bag.
Those things are ridiculously expensive though, and obviously their target audience is like super wealthy people.
Yeah.
But you see it on social media so much that kids see it and they're like, they want it. They'll save up their hard-earned money to get one item like this that's just ridiculously expensive. Whereas if you got maybe not the cheapest purse, just in this example, like a cheap piece of garbage, but something that looked kind of similar and is moderately quality, you could replace it 30 times over.
Exactly.
For the cost of that one thing. You're never going to have 30 purses in your life. I can't imagine. That's too many. And so that's the balance you got to pay for quality. Or you got to determine for quality? Like, can I if I get a lower quality version of this, does it make sense for me to just plan to replace it 5 times because it's 1/5 or less than 1/5 the cost of a more expensive one? There's some inconvenience there because you gotta deal with it being in poor condition and then go back to the store and replace it. But if the timing of that is not so inconvenient, I tell you, paying so much for something like high fashion stuff, I just can't see it. Even if I were that wealthy, I can't imagine spending that much money.
Yeah.
I would rather buy something, I don't know, maybe it's just me,
Dinner.
but I would rather buy something at a moderate, normal price and donate the difference if I was going to have to spend this money to like some good cause. Because owning something that is ridiculously, I could buy somebody's education. I could pay somebody's tuition at school.
Yeah.
Like I could feed a homeless person. I'm not the super most charitable person on earth, but it just feels like what a waste.
There's things that happen too with changes in society where trends change. That purse you bought, that's thousands of dollars, maybe it doesn't work anymore. Or your tastes change, that you just don't need that size of purse anymore. You're not carrying around, for me, when the kids were small, carrying around a bunch of things. And even at a period of time, I didn't need a purse because I was using the diaper bag to carry any of the necessities. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. It worked.
So cool.
Small diaper bag, and then you don't have to carry 10 bags just to cover everything you need. So
Yeah, so
Or even 2.
sometimes it's just convenience.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about the fashion trends changing as well. Like if you're super just careful about your budget, fashion trends tend to come around again,
yes.
right? So the things that you stopped wearing 30 years ago
Yep.
probably are going to come back in style.
Exactly.
Pretty
Your kids
soon.
will love it. Of course they will.
Yeah, though at least they'll wear it for retro Halloween night.
Yeah.
For costumes. Anyway, some other things about whether or not to wear it out or to replace it would be like a car. So we're of the opinion that you should use your car until near death, but not all the way to death. Because there is a point of diminishing returns where it gets in such a bad state that the repairs are expensive and you're putting money into this thing that has like little to no resale value.
Yep.
And like where do you draw the line and say, okay, I'm not going to do this $1,000 repair. I'm just going to buy a new car. If you've been budgeting effectively, please budget effectively, people. So that you have an emergency savings in place, or even better, you have long-term savings for some of these things you know are going to come up, like a car is eventually going to need to be replaced. Use the car that you have as long as you can until it reaches that point of where it's got no more, like the diminishing returns point.
Yeah.
And it's a judgment call, because you never will know. If I do this repair, will it last another year or 2 years? Who knows? Maybe it'll break again in a month. You don't know. So you have to make some judgment calls there. But
I find our needs influence that quicker than the wear and tear on the vehicle. Where when the kids were small, we needed to find a vehicle that could get all 7 of us around. And then they grew to a point that we're like, okay, they're no longer going to fit in this tiny little car anymore. Their knees are like up in their face almost. Not quite, but So we needed to change to a bigger vehicle, which ended up being a minivan, to allow them to even invite another friend to come with us, because it ended up being an 8-seater.
Yeah.
And they had more space to be able to move and breathe and not sit on top of each other's laps almost. So it worked. That the other vehicle still had a lot of good life in it. And we were able to sell that for a little bit of money, that able to help a friend that needed a vehicle for their kid.
yeah.
And to invest. But what we did is we planned ahead. We knew that was going to come.
Yeah.
We knew the kids were going to grow, and then we were able to walk up and pay cash because we planned for it.
Yeah, and that's, again, not to brag in any way. That's just it's just planning.
Exactly.
That's years and years of planning and budgeting effectively, knowing that this is going to come eventually.
Yeah.
And when the time came, we didn't have to figure out where's the money going to come from for this repair or for this new car,
Yeah.
such that you have to go to a credit card or a loan and pay extra interest and penalties and whatever.
Yeah.
You can just pay cash for it.
And we weren't looking just 6 months ahead. We were looking a few years ahead, knowing that
Oh, yeah.
was going to come.
Yeah. Like the last time we did this exercise looking ahead that far was like at our kids' weddings
Yeah.
and university needs. And so.
And that was a few years ago when
that
we
was
looked at that.
Several years ago. And now we have
We're in
some
that
of them
stage.
in university. None of them have got married yet, but
Next few years.
who knows? That'll be coming up soon enough.
Yeah.
And you just need to be prepared. Like, don't let this be a surprise. Life shouldn't be a surprise. You're living it. Like, get on the train, man.
Yep.
Figure it out. Just be prepared so that when the time comes, you don't have to be in a financial dire strait.
Exactly.
So some things to consider as you're going, deciding between do it yourself, wear it out. Where's the line that you have to draw between, okay, it's no longer worth putting repairs into this thing anymore, as opposed to replacing it or hiring somebody to do the repairs yourself. So just consider the contrast between your comfort level, your skill level, the cost of how much it costs to actually do the thing, and your own income. Everybody's income is a little bit different. Everybody's situation is a little different. Like you talked about us replacing the cars based on needs. Not everybody has kids, right? Some people are just single and they're going to be single their whole life. So it's very predictable for them. But that's even more of the case to be prepared, because you know what your life is going to be like. And it's very easy to look at and say, I'm going to have to replace this car. I need to get transportation from places.
Yeah.
I'm going to need a car, or I'm going to need a house. So you're going to need to budget for house maintenance. And if you're renting, and we're going to probably talk about this in another podcast, but do you eventually want to buy a house?
Yeah.
So start saving for that kind of thing. Or does your rental agreement have some kind of, you got to pay if you got to repair an appliance or something? Just set some of that money away in an emergency thing. And in the end, though, if you take care of things, they're going to last a lot longer, and you'll get more of your hard-earned money in terms of usage out of these things.
And you have to consider what life changes are going to be coming, so you can buy right the first time, and the quality of the item, so you can buy right the first time.
Yeah, so again, that contrast of buying right the first time versus the cost of it. Does buying right mean the $2,000 Prada purse, or does it mean, getting something that's not trash, because you don't want to buy trash, but something that's good quality. And then that balance in your mind. Okay, if I get this expensive, good quality one, can I just replace it 5 times with a cheaper version? And that's totally fine with you.
Yeah.
Unless you want this high quality, you need it for some reason, or you just don't want to go through the hassle of replacing it. Yeah, there's lots of trade-offs and considerations to think about here.
Yeah, everybody's needs are different. Maybe your can opener, you want to buy right the first time because that's just one of your pet peeves. You
opener.
hate where it just dies like every few months. Or it's only worth $5 at the dollar store. You can just go replace that and not have to worry about it. And they still last quite well.
They do. But the problem so you bring up a funny case study of a can opener, but we ran into that where the can opener stopped working right when we wanted to use it. It's always when you want it that it fails, right? Or
And we didn't have a spare.
And it was like a Sunday or something when, we don't go shopping on Sundays, or it's like a holiday when stores are closed. That's always when you need it, and you have to go ask a neighbor or get a hammer and chisel out to open a can.
Saw. Yeah.
Finally, we were like, okay,
Spare.
I'm doing some research, finding the best can opener. And I'm like, it was such a waste of time.
But it was fun.
It was fun. We ended up getting one of those weird electric ones that you just push a button and it just opens the can now.
And sometimes it works, except if the can has a really thick lip, then it doesn't work so well.
Only works when I use it, apparently.
Yeah. I'm new, I guess. Don't know how to use a can opener.
Okay, last thing for this podcast is, again, in the topic of using it up, wearing it out, or replacing it, warranties.
Yes.
So warranties matter quite a bit because sometimes when things fail, they're still under, like unexpectedly, still under a warranty of some kind, because a lot of products will have a lifetime warranty, and you can just get this thing replaced for free.
When they say lifetime, is it actual lifetime? Lifetime of what? Lifetime of you?
Is it a life sentence?
Or is it 20 years?
Which
Is that
means
their
20
considered
years?
lifetime?
Yeah, I don't know. You have to read the fine print,
print.
on those things because every product,
Yeah.
every company will mean something different.
Yeah.
But I think it usually means the lifetime of that product, which for all intents and purposes means eternity.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, you're not going to get it replaced if they stop manufacturing it anymore. But yeah, something to think about. The problem with warranties, though, is that things usually don't break during the warranty period
Yep.
on purpose. They're designed. The products aren't designed that way. The warranties are designed that way so that they cover the period of the normal good use. Everything breaks eventually.
They know the statistics of what use of that product is, whether it's a vehicle or a can opener. They know how long it's going to last, typically.
And then when you go to the store, what do they always want to sell you when you're buying something like electronics or something? An extended warranty. Like you buy a car, they want to give you an extended warranty.
Sometimes we've considered it, other times we've been like, okay, let's just plan for this. We know it's going to break down, whether it's a vehicle. We know these repairs are going to come up.
Yeah.
And there are manufacturer warranties on newer vehicles, unless you've purchased a used vehicle that it could still have some warranty, could not.
In my experience, having looked at this, and I looked at a number of blogs, like 10 or so, in preparation just for this podcast, but previously we've looked at this before as well.
Yes.
In general, extended warranties are not worth the money. Because, again, the regular warranty will cover a lemon, meaning just a poorly manufactured fluke that didn't last as long as it ought to have. The manufacturer warranty typically will cover that. Extended warranties are meant after the manufacturer warranty. And you got to read the fine print on those too, because, they only work under this condition and on a Tuesday, and if the color was green. You just got to be really careful about reading those and understanding those, because oftentimes you get an extended warranty thinking, I can just bring it in no matter what happens.
Yeah.
Like a phone warranty, right? My screen broke because I hit it with a hammer. Okay.
No.
Guess what? It's not covered by your warranty if you self-inflicted the problem. It's meant for like a usage issue. So it's just not going to work all the time. So having an expectation that is frustrated when you try to use that extended warranty can be very unpleasant. Not to mention the fact that the products usually, by the time an extended warranty is happening, so let's say a manufacturer warranty covers the first 2 years of a thing, and then you get an extended warranty for another 2 years. Okay, you're in this after 2-year time. You need to prove that you didn't cause this problem. So suddenly you're in a dispute with the warranty claim company.
He said, she said kind of problem.
Yeah, it's like, how do you prove that you didn't cause this problem? And then you gotta deal with the shipping of, now you're without the product for weeks at a time sometimes, because usually you're not walking into a store and just doing a trade. Usually you're without the product for weeks.
Ship it back to us, then we'll ship you the new.
Ship it to us. We're going to look at it and create a committee of people to look at this and determine whether or not you've actually met the requirements and mail you back. And then eventually you may get a replacement. But that's, now you've gone without it for weeks. If you're depending on this thing, major discomfort.
There are certain things we've seen, though, that they do no questions asked kind of thing. They just guarantee their product. We know that things are going to happen. And for the rare person that has inflicted it, it's worth our cost as the company.
Yeah, I think Zappos, this shoe company, is famous for this. We've never purchased from Zappos, but I've read about this in the owner's books, that they've had some people that would just abuse the return policy, and they knew that they were abusing it, and they just keep returning it, allowing the return anyway. And the person gets this feeling like they're getting away with something. The company knows.
Yeah.
But they just honor it because in the grand scheme of things, it's better for the company.
Yeah.
We had an experience with replacing our mattress not too long ago. So we got a mattress from the company Purple, and it developed a bit of a kind of a, what do you call it, a wow or like a little indent.
It was one of the newer, like the older first
It was the
models.
the original mattress, and they've gone like
Few iterations since.
4 iterations.
But it lasted quite a while.
Yeah. And we called them up and said, hey, we've got this problem with the mattress. We thought it was supposed to work, last forever.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. They shipped it, like, at their expense, shipped us a new mattress. Like, It was awesome.
Yeah. We still like their mattress.
I was shocked, to be honest. I thought we were gonna have to fight them about it, but they were just awesome.
Yep.
So some companies are awesome and some are not.
We figured be courteous, let them know the information, see if they do, and we'll work with whatever they decide.
Yep, exactly. In general, though, an extended warranty is typically not worth it because if something is not a lemon or a fluke, it's going to last well past the extended warranty time. If it does break, usually the cost of repairing the thing is less than the cost that you paid for the warranty. Think about who's selling the warranty, right? They're selling this because they're making money on it. So statistically, they're getting people paying for these warranties a lot more for the warranties than the cost of the repair. So yes, it gives you peace of mind and it makes you feel that you're covered, even though you're not always covered. But even when you are covered, you have that peace of mind. But statistically, you're going to not need it. And statistically, you're going to have spent that money on the extended warranty and never use it. If you're in the small percentage of people who do need it, you'll be very grateful for having got it.
Yes. You won't know ahead of time, though, which percent you'll be in, the people that need it or don't need it.
That's the problem.
And something you have to make judgment on yourself. What kind of guarantees do you have in your own income to be able to foot the bill for repairing it?
Yeah.
Or do you have the money now at this stage in your life to pay for a warranty that would help you in the time is coming that will be tighter funds?
Yeah, exactly. When we bought our last car, the guy, you buy the car, right? And then you always have to sit down with the warranty guy. And he hard sells the warranty. Tells you about it, if you accidentally break even this little thing, the LCD screen, that's $1,000 and the warranty is only this much. You know what? I'm not going to break the LCD screen.
Yeah.
If it fluke breaks, manufacturer will cover it. Hopefully. It could fluke break in that extended warranty period. But again, you're in a very small part of the statistical norm at that point. So it's very unlikely to happen. That doesn't mean it won't happen, and it still could happen. And if it does, yes, you'll have been grateful that you got an extended warranty. But for more people, when that break doesn't happen, they'll have been grateful they didn't pay for the extended warranty because that's money in their pocket.
That's when you use your budget to make your own guarantee that you have the funds available to foot the bill for these emergencies. Your emergency funds, your savings to be able to either replace the vehicle, upgrade, whatever.
Exactly. Across all the things that you own, it's exceedingly unlikely statistically that you're going to be having bad, quote unquote, bad luck, where many of these things break in such a way that the extended warranty would have helped you. Very, very, very rare would that happen. It's very rare for one product, but over all of the products that you have, it's exceedingly rare. And it's much more cost effective to just have an emergency fund to cover the repair.
And if you are one of those people that are in the bad luck slot, it's maybe time to consider how you use your products, how you maintain them. If you are doing regular checkups on your appliances to make sure they're in good repair, make sure everything's tight for nuts and bolts and everything. And are you driving your vehicle like you're Mario Andretti or whoever it is?
Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly. If you're going to wear out your vehicle or any of the appliances by pushing it to their limits all the time, you're going to make them wear out faster.
Yeah, no wonder.
So it's not bad luck, it's use. You need to know how to use things well to maintain their good quality.
Yes.
So that they'll last well.
Ask yourself, is it the Eric? Is it the Robin
Exactly.
that's causing the problem?
Or
Not my
me
bad
in
luck.
such a rush, I would like turn around and knock things over. I always put my hair up so I didn't run the kids over when they were small. They were always on their feet.
Yes.
And always so many things to do. So sometimes it just takes a moment to slow down just a little bit so you're not in haste, but you can still be quick about things, because haste will break things and use things the wrong way and cause more cost for you.
Yeah. I mean, I love you, but we know that
I've gotten a lot better, I find.
sometimes you're not aware of your circumstances and surroundings quite often, and
Yeah.
things break.
Yep.
It doesn't happen with me very often.
Yeah.
So you have to know yourself as well. If you're the kind of person that bad luck follows you, i.e. you're not careful, then maybe it makes more sense to get an extended warranty. If you have behaviors that are going to push you into that statistical anomaly, then maybe it makes sense.
Yeah.
For me, I'm a careful person. Never have I broke my phone screen, or even like rarely do things break.
I have
It's
an
just because
OtterBox
I'm-
for a reason.
It's just I'm careful, right?
Yeah.
For me, getting an extended warranty would be a throwaway waste of money. But for others, maybe it's not. And some people want it just for the peace of mind, and I get that.
Yeah.
It's whatever makes sense for you, but in general, it's not a good use of money.
For our children, when they wanted devices, we had them purchase it, even for a small amount of money, for phones that we were upgrading and still had the old phone to pass on, that they learned that skill of being able to take care of things well, that they can last. And it's helped. We find that they're more careful these days, that their phones don't break or any other devices don't break as often.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain pride of ownership when you've had to pay for something, as
Yeah.
opposed to when it's given to you, you tend to not value it in the same way.
Exactly.
Okay, final recommendations. I would say stay away from extended warranties, but do your homework and make sure that you understand what you're getting into. If peace of mind is what you really need, then weigh that balance. And also consider, can you wear this thing out? Can you use it to its full-time life maximum before you need to replace it? And where do you want to fit on the spectrum of do it yourself versus having somebody else do it for you? Because there's a lot of room in this spectrum for options.
Yeah. I think the pioneers had it right, where they would, like we were saying at the beginning, they would wear things out. They might have a really nice fancy dress. Once that wears out, they would rework it to be a simpler dress. And once that wears out, they would maybe turn it into an apron. And once that wears out, they would turn it into a rag. They would multi-use for the items that before the material actually wore out. Plus, they worked as a community to be able to help and support each other. Maybe you know how to sew, maybe you know how to build, just working together to be able to fit the needs of each other.
Wherever it makes sense, I totally agree. Sometimes it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Cases like a printer, if there's a problem with the print head, just replace the whole unit. it will cost more to repair it than it would be to replace the whole unit. Ridiculous how that is.
See, that breaks my heart. Like, it's almost cheaper to replace the printer than to replace the ink. It's ridiculous. I hate that part of the disposable society that we live in, that is for the waste factor
Same.
for items, but then it's a waste of money to be spending thousands of dollars for.
Yeah, it is. Final recommendation, consider quality versus price.
Yes.
So you want something that's going to be decent quality, but you don't want to pay a ridiculous amount for it because, again, sometimes you can just replace this thing many times for a lower cost at a quality that is suitable or at least meet your needs.
Yep. Your time has value too.
Exactly. Wear it out, do it yourself or buy. Happy budgeting.
Happy budgeting.
I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like. I can pay cash, I can pay check, I can pay wire transfer, I can pay gift card, I can pay credit, I can pay anything you like.